Well, I'm outside by my wood boiler here. I call it Smoky. Looks like it fell off a trailer once, twice, 3 times. She ain't pretty, but she works nice. It's actually homemade. This isn't a brand name or anything. Some guy built it. He actually knew what he was doing. So it's a wood boiler. Basically, if I open up the big door here, you can see inside. So the burn chamber, it's about 5 feet long, and it's a big cylinder. The actual shape of the tank, it's actually a big cube. It's quite large. Now, the good news with having such a large body of water in there to heat up, once it is heated up, it lasts for a long time, even when the fire goes out. But getting it all up to temperature to begin with, if it cools off, isn't so great. So from here, the heated water goes through 1-inch pipe into the house. So the hot water comes into the house. Here, it goes into this pump, and the pump pushes it through the different zones. I have 3 different zones in the house and into the garage. So the hot water goes through that and then comes back out of the concrete, a lot cooler, and then goes back out to the boiler. But now I have a mixing valve here, so I can control the amount of hot water coming through, because you don't want to go more than 120 Fahrenheit into a radiant cement floor, because it could crack or whatever. But generally, I've got a lot of loss with the 60, 80 feet coming into the house that it's cooling it down enough that I just have this full-on heat. Now, the way I control my my different zones and actually to see the temperature coming in is I have some really neat Wi-Fi controllers. I can set different temperatures and all that to turn on, turn off, and it's through an app. I'll get into more detail on that on the Living Gridless Podcast on the solar and heating episode. But it's really cool. So the system works really well. Again, my boiler isn't the most efficient, so I just have to kind of make up with more wood. But other than that, works pretty good, nice and toasty.
Okay, now we're inside my place because I've got an indoor wood boiler. So this thing's like 4 feet long and obviously pretty high. It's got 2 burn chambers. You load the wood in here, and you can, if you fill it up, it'll run for about 8 hours. It likes the round wood instead of the split wood, so it doesn't bridge, burns better. But the heat gets forced down with an electric fan, and it comes down into this chamber where it burns all the wood gas and smoke. It makes it more efficient, a lot hotter, about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the air gets forced into these tubes that run through the 60-gallon water jacket in here. And it's a non-pressurized system, so it's not going to explode or anything. It's also controlled when it gets up to temperature. I have it set right now for 163 degrees Fahrenheit, where the fan will turn off. It'll starve it of oxygen, and basically it doesn't heat up anymore. So then when it drops down below to about 153, the fan kicks on again, gets it burning again. So it's not a constant burn, it controls the heat. So works pretty good. So the hot water comes out this pipe into the mixing valve, which goes to the pump. Below that is the return cold water, and also going into the mixing valve. I keep it mixed at so it doesn't go over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. But the hot water comes up into my homemade manifolds. I've got a temperature gauge, pressure gauge, and apparently a leak. Some extra zones, but this is what goes into the rest of the house. Hot goes down into the floors. The cold comes back up and returns. So I can even look at the temperature coming back out.
Some days it's not really cold enough for us to need to run the big boiler, so instead we run Mini. Mini is a Drolet brand of fireplace, and it heats a house anywhere from 600 to 1,800 square feet, which is perfect for our house. With the log length, it's about 18 inches in there, so that's what most people cut anyways, and it works in our splitter. Plus we have this groovy fan on top that when it heats up, it circulates the air in the house.